Hey guys, so what is up? This is Embedded Thought, also known as Favorite. Today we're going to be comparing Bitcoin and Peercoin. So we're basically going to just go over a top level of what's going on with these two chains. So I guess the first distinction between the two chains that we're going to want to make is their security model. And so Bitcoin is strictly secured by proof of work, SHA-256 mining. Peercoin is strictly secured by proof of stake. Now, the special thing about Peercoin is that it's a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake. So there's two aspects to it, and we're starting to see a lot more hybrid networks pop up. And there's also a plan for Ethereum to go hybrid proof of work, proof of stake before it goes full proof of stake implementation via Casper. So, what is the benefit of this hybrid network? So basically, the problem with 100% proof of stake coins is that you can't guarantee that coin distribution is going to be good enough and for the network. And what I mean by that is if you can't have the dispersion of the network and have it continually strengthen the decentralization of the network, if you continually recycle the new supply between the same minters, you're just going to stagnate the network, and it's not going to become completely decentralized and as secure as it possibly can be. So you want basically a continual distribution of the network that's not reliant on the proof of stake minters themselves. Of course, you want to give them reward and incentive to secure the network, but that's another story. So if we go look at Bitcoin, right? There's two aspects to pay the miners to secure the network. There's transaction fees, and then there's the block reward. So you can consider the block reward as a tax. Basically, it's inflation. If you're a Bitcoin holder, you're basically paying through inflation to miners to secure the network. And so every around 4 years there's a block reward halving. So right now I think Bitcoin is at 12.5 Bitcoins per block, right? So Peercoin has a similar thing. It has a block reward reduction, but instead of every around 4 years, it's dynamic. So we can look at Peercoin's block reward decreasing, and it decreases at a rate inversely proportional to the mining difficulty. And what do I mean by that? I basically mean that as Peercoin's proof of work mining difficulty is going up throughout the years, inversely the block reward per block is going down like this. So you have this relationship basically that as the technology advances, as all the Bitcoin mining infrastructure in Bitcoin's network becomes obsolete and no longer profitable on the Bitcoin network, it comes over and it seeps into the Peercoin network, which increases Peercoin's proof of work difficulty, which lowers Peercoin's inflation rate over time. Now, Peercoin's inflation rate won't ever technically reach 0%. It'll just converge towards 0%. So right now, if you look back towards Bitcoin's block halving, right as soon as Bitcoin had its block halving, we saw a massive spike in Peercoin's mining difficulty, right? Because there's very few, there's not very few, but there's very few main coins that use this SHA-256 proof of work mining algorithm. And the reason why is because during the early days, if you wanted to start a SHA-256 chain, you're susceptible to a 51% attack because the mining difficulty on your chain isn't high enough to prevent a cluster of miners that have been working on the Bitcoin chain to just jump onto your chain, get a 51% of the network, and control it, right? So this is the beautiful thing about Peercoin's hybrid model, is that it can utilize that mining infrastructure that Bitcoin is building, but it doesn't have to worry about the security aspects of it, right? Because it's secured by proof of stake. So the only reason proof of work is there is for coin distribution. So you consider all the network members of Peercoin, they pay a tax, sure, to the proof of work miners, but it's to continually distribute the network and keep it decentralized as possible. And I think that's a great thing to pay for. Okay, so if one thing that I want to point out is that with this dynamic model of where the block reward is inversely proportional to the mining difficulty, if Bitcoin adopted Peercoin's economic supply model, the average block reward for Bitcoin right now would be 0.8 Bitcoins compared to what it is at 12.5. The problem is that Bitcoin can't adopt this model. And why is that? It's because Bitcoin is going to have a hard cap, right, at 21 million coins. And why does this matter? So Bitcoin's going to have to be reliant on transaction fees to give the miners enough incentive to secure the network. Peercoin actually has the luxury of lowering that block reward because it's not dependent on the miners to secure the network. It's dependent on the minters themselves. So the minters not only have the incentive of 1% annual interest of Peercoin a year, it also has the incentive of keeping the network secure. So big holders have that incentive too. And if you think about it, that incentive will never decrease. So no matter what the transaction volume is, no matter what the activity level of the network is, there will always be that incentive to mint. And it basically virtually costs nothing to mint in the network, computationally. You're not expending any energy whatsoever. So let's think about this for a little bit. So Bitcoin has to basically either increase the transaction volume or make it to where transaction fees become more competitive. We've seen this non-stop drama with the block size debate. Simply, it's getting really silly. It's been a couple of years now already, and nothing's come from it. So other chains have taken advantage of this debate and have flourished basically because Bitcoin is kind of stagnant in its growth, right? So I guess if we want to continue with this, we can do it in another video. I just wanted to get a beginning video for you to kind of give you an understanding of the difference between Bitcoin and Peercoin. I think in the next video we're going to talk about more of the benefits of a hybrid network. We're going to compare, I'll go over a little bit of the wallpaper for Ethereum's Casper proof of stake algorithm, because I guarantee there's going to be a lot of debate coming up in the future whether or not, because Peercoin's proof of stake model is classified as naive proof of stake, which simply means that it's a simple implementation of proof of stake. It's not completely convoluted. Casper's going to be basically trying to solve the nothing at stake convergence issue, which to me is not an issue. Okay, so let me just describe it real quick so I can give you a brief introduction. If you think about it, in Peercoin, it's not computationally difficult to mine on forks of Peercoin, right? So if there's one chain right here that's continuing on, and there's a fork of it that goes off to A, and then a fork that goes off to B, as a minter on Peercoin's network, say I'm over here, I can choose to mint on chain A and I can choose to mint on chain B without really expending any extra energy or anything, right? So these are relative chains, but one chain is gonna basically win out because of the weight of the chain. So one of these chains has an actual market value, right? You can call it a relative chain. There's going to be exchanges which have adopted Peercoin, right? They're all going to be these are what give it its actual market value, correct? So if this chain B, wasn't on any of these exchanges, it has no market value, right? So where's my incentive to actually mint on this chain? I would just be wasting the little resources that it requires to mint on it. So it's not really a big issue if you think about convergence and consensus. So basically Casper's going to come out with this very convoluted mechanism of where they need the validators to put up a certain deposit, and that deposit's at risk, and it kind of gamifies the whole proof of stake thing. So it's going to be, say if you have like multiple forks happening, right, and you're basically putting a bet or a deposit on one fork, and everyone is basically going to converge towards the chain that has the most like bets put on it, because if you bet on a losing chain, it's part of that like old slasher algorithm. You would lose part of your deposit. So we'll go more into this later, a more in-depth description, but I just wanted to point out the main benefits of Peercoin and basically give you a little word about what's coming up next in the cryptocurrency space on having to do with proof of stake models. So stay tuned in more videos and we'll go over that.